In this video, we are doing our Walt Disney World trip report. We're going to talk about the reality versus the expectations we had a few weeks ago going into this trip. We are joined by sweet, magical Mindy, who was on the trip with us. I'm also joined by Citrus George. We're going to break it down, talk about it up next on OG55. Welcome aboard to another episode of OG55. We're talking about all about this Walt Disney World trip, this epic trip we had just a few weeks ago. We're going to talk about it, break it down. I just want to say, going into this show, though, unfortunately, Mr. Vash Sky could not join us. He is taking a little bit of a hiatus from the channel due to some family issues. We wish him very well. But I am joined by my brother, Mr. Disney George. George, welcome back, sir. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can interact with me on Twitter at Disney George. You could check out the podcast that actually me and sweet Miss Magical Mindy are part of, called A Walk with Walt, where we dive into a lot of the rich history behind the company and Walt Disney himself. And you learn a lot of little fun facts that you may not know. So definitely check that out. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Perfect. All right, here, I'll sign you in, Mr. George. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
And then down below, we got sweet, magical Mindy. Mindy, welcome back to the channel. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, your podcast, all that good stuff.
All of the good stuff. You can just find me at Sweet Miss Magical Mindy at everything on YouTube, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's all there. Sweet Miss Magical Mindy.
Perfect. And I will link everything for Sweet Magical Mindy in the description. So check her out, follow her, subscribe to her. She is awesome. Absolutely awesome. And Mindy, I will check you in as well. You are officially in. There we go. All right. So let's dive right in. We're going to start off like we did in the last video, the expectations video, with the resort. So we stayed at the Polynesian, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous resort over there at Walt Disney World, Florida. It was my first time in Florida in general, but it was obviously my first time staying at the Poly. George and Mindy have been to the Poly, but this is their first time actually staying there. George, I'll start with you. Being a long time Walt Disney World person, visiting the Poly but never staying there. Now you stayed there. Thoughts, overall kind of musings as to what you experienced?
Well, the Polynesian was always and probably forever will be my favorite Walt Disney World resort hotel. I mean, just the ambiance, the second you arrive and you walk in, you get the Polynesian smell, you get all the aesthetics of the hotel. And it's like you got Ohana's, you got Captain Cook's, you have the pool, everything. It's just, you could just walk through there, and just spending a day at the Polynesian is great, but to actually, and Trader Sam's as well. Yeah. But to actually be able
and big shout out to Schweitzer Falls, right, George? Right?
Of course, yes,
there,
of course. All three of them.
Right.
But to actually be able to stay at the Polynesian, that was a big dream of mine. It's checked off my Disney bucket list. And to actually have the opportunity to not just experience the hotel, but do it with you guys and us, just have a great time and kick off the Walt Disney World portion of the trip. It was awesome. And I would definitely recommend, for anyone who can get the opportunity to stay at the Polynesian, I highly recommend to do so. It is one of the most ultra themed Disney hotels out there, and unfortunately Disney isn't in the way of making those kind of hotels themed that way anymore. So definitely it's definitely a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a tiki room like hotel basically, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I love the theming. I love that Polynesian theming overall. I really like, it's the little things that really kind of impressed me, like with the pool not having stairs. It was like that even graded. Yes. It was like the beach. And I know that's like, people are probably like, oh, well, who cares? That's everywhere. I don't know. For me, I don't see that everywhere. I love that. That super like impressed me. Trader Sam's was good. I had fun there. It wasn't as good like theming wise as say the Anaheim version, in my opinion, but I still had fun, chilling in there. Overall, the rooms were very nice. The grounds were beautiful. We got great views. We could see the castle from the Poly. It was phenomenal. But Sweet Magical Mindy, first time staying there. What were your thoughts? Your feelings as to your experience?
So you nailed it on the head. If you've ever been to the Anaheim version of Trader Sam's, it's our favorite place to go. We had a slumber party at Trader Sam's for 5 days. Like it was so much fun. You're staying in Trader Sam's. It really looks all like you're transported to Hawaii. You're in the tropics. Like there's tiki torches everywhere. It smells Hawaiian. The waterfalls everywhere. It transports you to pure tiki heaven. Yeah. And it is so much fun. I had a blast. I would love to stay there again. I would.
Yeah,
I would too.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I love all the decor. When you walk through the lobby and stuff, they have like the Annette Funicello. Hey, George, as a fellow Italian, huh?
Italiano. Yeah.
I love that. Just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, we had a really good time at the Poly, the pool. We had some drinks. It was absolutely phenomenal.
There was a moment at the Polynesian that I could actually say was sheer bliss for me. And it was when the three of us went for that night walk on the beach, and we were just sitting on the swing, looking out into the water. We had Cinderella Castle to our right. We saw Space Mountain and Tron, and just all the lights lit up and the torches around us. It was just having that Disney Zen moment. And that's what you can get a lot at the Polynesian. But I'm glad that I was able to have that with the two of you.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. And then Mindy you had your music on your phone. You're pumping them jams. I played, of course. I played the Blackpink. And Lisa, the Money song. I just love that. But we had a really good time there on the swings, hanging out over there. It was amazing. And the white sand beaches. I mean, that's just
the sand
incredible.
Was like sifted kind of sand. It's heaven. And to see and hear. If you wouldn't agree, so we're on the swing, we're all just sitting there, and to look out and hear the ship's like horn, it's kind of a magical thing when you're looking out on Seven Seas Lagoon and you're looking over to the left, you see the Grand Floridian, and behind you is just covered in tiki torches, and then you see the bungalows. It's so magical. It really is. It is. It's amazing. It's one of the best hotels Disney has, hands down.
And that's the thing that really impressed me about Walt Disney World in general is that you can go to theme parks anywhere, really. I mean, they're all over the place. But one thing that really stood out for me with Walt Disney World is really how different it felt with the resorts and all that, right? Like it just felt like a completely different animal than anything I've ever experienced. You're
in the bubble. You're in the bubble.
Yeah.
And you have to take it as a whole. You can't just separate the theme parks to the transportation, from the transportation to the hotels. You have to take it as one big care package.
Right.
And it's like you untie that bow, and it's like you need the resorts to enjoy the transportation, and then the transportation to the parks. They're all cohesive. Right. So and that's what the difference is with Walt Disney World opposite of Disneyland.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I was really impressed. And I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter. And really, since Walt Disney World, I've taken a backseat to Twitter because after hearing all the stuff about Walt Disney World falling apart, the bad maintenance, this and that and the other, and then going there and seeing how beautiful and well-maintained it actually was. Not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not going to shill, whatever. But it wasn't falling apart. The narrative online was completely different than what I actually witnessed. And we're taking these, it was beautiful. And we're taking these monorails and everything is beautiful. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And from the Poly, taking that monorail line to like Epcot was truly incredible. Like it's like a 15-20 minute trip and you're on property the entire time. It's massive.
It's amazing. And you're taking the transportation, and that's why you stay in that bubble, what George was talking about. Get dropped off inside the bubble, you stay in the bubble. Yes, you're going to pay more. You are. Let's just get real. You're going to pay for it.
You're going to pay
for
it.
But you enjoy it. And that's what Disney World is. You've got to take it all in and love it for what it is. You pay for it, and you just leave the outside world outside of the bubble.
100%.
And I think there was a moment, I don't know if it was from UOG, but when we first arrived in Walt Disney World, you were kind of looking around and you asked and you said, are we still in Walt Disney World? Like, it's kind of hard to tell because these look like regular roads and signs. And that's what's so deceiving is because you think that it's just in pieces. But the second you cross over that arch that reads, welcome to Walt Disney World. That's it. You're in Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Right.
And we didn't bring up, because you mentioned when we first got into Walt Disney World, we didn't actually bring up what happened when we first got into Orlando at the airport. Yes. This is like...
Can we stop and insert?
Yeah. So Mindy saw this firsthand, but so the floor was really wet at the airport. It was just kind of a crazy time. We got our baggage. We were trying to get the rental car and everything situated, and we were in the wrong area. We're trying to get the baggage into the right area. I don't take elevators, but I'm trying to load the elevator, and then I'm going to meet everybody up, yada, yada, yada. Well, the floor was wet. I slipped, and I hit my head, and I cracked my head open really, really bad. Mindy saw it, bleeding like crazy, and I had to be transported via ambulance to the local hospital, and I ended up having 5 stitches. Really, really wild experience. I thought I was going to die. I actually asked Mindy, am I going to die? I think. Didn't I, Mindy?
You did. I felt so bad for you, Chris. I was like, I'm not going to leave you. I'm right here. And you were just like, you're going to die? Like, you literally thought you were going to die. Like, a brain hemorrhage or something. But luckily, I went to nursing school. And what's funny is I can't do blood. So I love you, all right? I'll just put it that way. Because he touched his head. And I put pressure on it, and it's just dripping down my arm. I'm like, you're okay. You're okay. You're totally fine. I'm like, I'm going to pass out, but you're totally fine.
And while this is going on, I'm upstairs by the elevator standing with all the luggage. And I'm like, because I couldn't get in contact with anybody, I'm like, could someone please tell me what the hell is going on? Like, I don't know. Like, is he conscious? Is he awake? Is he? And it was like, it was just crazy times. But I mean, luckily that could have been much worse. But, thank your lucky stars that it was nothing more than that.
Truly blessed, that wasn't worse, and it could have been like that would have been the worst, like to land, crack my head open, be in Florida, and then not be able to do anything. So fortunately, it wasn't bad enough where I had stitches, I had a CT scan, everything was all good. I was able to bounce back. I was under the weather for a couple of days after that, but I was able to still do all the parks and what have you, and everything like that. So it worked out. But man, that was a close call. It almost killed my entire trip. I mean,
which I do have to add just a little piece of negativity for Orlando International, and I just have to say, if anyone is listening out there that works in Orlando International or works, you need to find a better way to maneuver traffic in and out of that airport, because that is a complete nightmare. And Disney, this is what happens when you get rid of the Magical Express, because where we were, that is where the Magical Express was located. And it broke my heart to actually walk through that hallway, because that was the one place at Orlando International that was so lively. It was so upright. It had a pulse. And
that's where your trip started. That's where your trip started. You're like, I'm at Disney. Let's go. It's sad. They need to bring it back.
So Disney, please bring back the Magical Express, and Orlando International, wake the hell up.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to also interject, they do not have the best employees there at all. I say the guy's pushing the little Zamboni, if you will, cleaning the floors. It's midnight. And I'm like, I get Chris sat down, and I'm like, can you go around? The floor's wet, and he literally just slipped on your floor. And he's like, no, I have a job to do, and just went 2 inches by your feet, just pushing the little Zamboni.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's yeah. The employees there were like something else, absolutely something else. So thankfully, the ambulance EMTs.
Oh, they were great.
They were awesome. I was joking with them in the ambulance and asking them as well if I was going to die. It was a lot of fun.
No, you really. That's not a joke.
Yeah,
You really did.
Yeah. So, but let's move on now to the park. So the first day was Epcot day. Now this was like going into the Walt Disney World experience. This was the park that I'm like, okay, this is going to be my favorite. I know it. And look, it's up there. It's absolutely up there. It's right there. But amazing place. But George, now you've been there a bajillion and a half times. But overall thoughts, feelings on our Epcot day.
Epcot, I feel, is I've learned over the years that Epcot is one of the best parks to start out your Walt Disney World trip. It kind of eases you in because it kind of, you move with the flow at Epcot. You know, you go around World Showcase, you experience the different countries and cultures and the cast members, what have you. It's always nice to just kind of start out slow before you get that fast rush pacing that you do with Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. So I always like to start at Epcot, and I had the expectation, OG, that you know this was going to be your park, you know,
right?
Up until, well, we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I still feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done with Epcot. Obviously, I mean, they still have the walls up and they're still doing a lot of construction over it. I'm just going to call it, folks, it's Future World. I'm not going to call it by the individual neighborhoods of this is neighborhood, World Nature, World Celebration. No, it's Future World. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But we did get to actually see a little bit of the journey into water inspired by Moana as we were coming over into the monorail. That actually looks fairly decent. I'm actually quite interested in seeing how that comes about. I mean, it does look a little more Animal Kingdom-ish.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am curious just to see how it is in general. But I mean, as far as our day goes, I mean, I'll let you guys take the helm with Cosmic Rewind because I had you two sit together. But as far as the overall Epcot day, I mean, we walked around the different countries. We got to experience in Mexico. We all put on the sombreros. We all got our picture taken with that. And but yeah, so I'll pass it along. I always love Epcot, especially at the very end of the night.
Yes.
That you see the like the beacons of light when you go over to Spaceship Earth, and that whole geodesic sphere is lit up and it changes color and it changes design and the pattern. It just flows. And that was the one thing that Disney did right with the 50th anniversary celebration.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that they kept that.
Yes. Epcot is like top tier for me. I absolutely loved Epcot. Really, really awesome park. And I knew I would love it. I knew I would. It just seems Epcot is really like Walt Disney World's Disneyland. It was Walt's kind of baby. You know, I know it's a very different park than what Walt Disney envisioned, but it's still Walt's baby. I loved everything about that place. World Showcase especially, gorgeous at night. I love, we did the drinking around the world stuff. That was really awesome. The Japan Pavilion was awesome. The cast members there, you knew the cast members were actually from Japan over there because they were actually really, really nice. So you knew they were legit, they were legit. It was awesome.
We spent quite some time there at the Japan Pavilion. I mean, the first day, and then also when you and IOG went back the second time, we spent. You love that Japanese culture, man.
It's awesome. I absolutely love it. We had a really good time there. But just overall, everything in that World Showcase between like Mexico, we went on that Grand Fiesta tour. Mm-hmm. That was very interesting too, because it was kind of like that attraction felt sort of like a hybrid of like Small World and Pirates. It was kind of interesting, right? Yeah. Very, very cool. I love that. And you go in there and they have the restaurant like the Blue Bayou. Just really, really awesome stuff. I love that. Germany was great. We ate at the what was the place we ate at dinner, George? It was at the Crown and the
Rose Crown.
And we had an amazing, and I wish I remember the cast member's name. She was from Was it
Emily or
Emma?
something?
Emma?
Emma. I think it was Emmy something.
Emmy.
Yes, she
It
was
sounded like
phenomenal.
Emmy.
She was from, I think, Westminster, I believe, and she
Yeah.
was just top tier cast member, just like killing it, absolutely crushing it. It was just Epcot's phenomenal. Epcot is absolutely great. Now, George, you did mention that we went on Cosmic Rewind, and Mindy and I were scared out of our minds.
Okay, so I just have to I have to just say this before these two get into the explicit details of this. This was, as much as OG is my brother and everything, this was the first time that I got to spend this length of time with him. So I got to know, how he goes into the theme parks. He's not a real big rider type of person, like with overall, thrills and everything. He's a chilled, laid back. He likes to go through the parks and everything. But I didn't know fully like what his
like my threshold.
his threshold is. Well, let me tell you, Cosmic Rewind surpasses that threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then crossed the line.
And then with Mindy, she usually can handle certain things, but at the time, it just wasn't a good time, and not even really thinking. I feel bad that of how they came off of this ride, but I'll let the two of you explain, because I actually have, while you guys are explaining, I have a photo. I'll send it over to you, OG, and you can show it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was on this ride, and I knew what it did. I knew that it turned you. I knew the whole thing. I just didn't expect it to be as intense of an experience that it was. And it was so intense for me personally where, and I'm going to sound like such a chicken, but there were parts of the ride where I felt like I physically can't handle this. This is like too much. Is that kind of where you were at, Mindy?
Yeah. So I went into this. So I've had some health issues lately, and I pass out very easily. And this only thing is, and I just found out while we were on this trip too, Chris and I became great friends, that we're like a couple weeks apart in age from each other. So growing up, I remember going to carnivals, and you'd go ride the octopus, and they would have the arm, right? And then the chair, the little spinny things. And when it goes down and the G-forces came, it would spin the little seat that you're in, right? That's how I felt like this ride was. Someone's like, oh, it's like surfing through space. This is not surfing through space, okay? Chris was holding my hand. We were like, oh my gosh. I literally was passing out. Literally. I would all I can describe it is like a really intense version of Space Mountain.
Yeah.
You see all the stars everywhere, but it's like 10 times worse. And I couldn't see the stars. Like I'd go black and I'd wake up and be like, okay, where am I? I don't remember seeing anything. And I just remember spinning and like passing out. It was so intense. It was intense. And then I got off. No wonder why people can't walk up the dang stairs and get to the other side. I couldn't make it. I was like, I'm going to pass out, you guys. My equilibrium was so thrown off. It was insane.
Well, and yeah, that's how I felt. And it's like, it's weird. They basically blindfold you, spin you around and say, go walk up the stairs. And it's like.
And then back down. That's the only thing. I mean, I enjoy the ride. I love the ride. It's one of my favorite rides at Walt Disney World. But that's the one thing I never understood is why they would add 2 sets of staircases on a ride that has continuous spinning. So unfortunately, everyone, I do have the photo, but we're having technical issues with uploading it. So if we are ever able to get it up in some other kind of platform, you'll be able to see it there.
Yeah, I've been having some issues with my StreamYard, but I will definitely share it. But it was an intense experience.
Is the picture bad?
Oh no, the picture.
I haven't even seen the picture yet.
No, it's like an on-ride photo. It's pretty funny actually, but we'll get it shared and maybe like in another video once I can get my StreamYard working. But yeah, that ride. I think if you're a coaster nut, a coaster fanatic, a thrill junkie, like our friend Ethan, Theme Park Wizard, would absolutely love that ride.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's into that and he would love it. But like for me and Mindy, like we're chickens. Like I'm not about that at all. And I can handle a little bit. Like Everest was fine.
Yeah. Oh, you did Everest?
Oh, we did Everest. Yeah.
So Everest, do you think Do you think Everest is worse or better than Incredicoaster?
I think it was easier than Incredicoaster.
I agree with that. But when I thought about it, I thought it was worse in my head. So I didn't go on it for like 7 years because I pumped it up in my head. And it wasn't until I went back with George and he's like, no, come on it. We went on it 7 times in a row. I might have like scratched my nails into his knee and he probably still has scars from that. But,
Yeah, no,
Yes.
its bark is worse than its bite. I see that big lift hill and everything, and then it goes backwards. I'm like, oh man, I was nervous.
I just have to share this little story just really quick. Speaking of Incredicoaster, because now we have Mindy on the channel. If to ride the Incredicoaster with Mindy is one of the best experiences you can ever have at a Disney park. I have never experienced somebody that literally hates a ride, but then loves it at the same time. Literally, the first half is, I hate this, get me off, I can't stand this, get me off.
Absolutely.
And then as soon as we go through that final tunnel to go up to the little bunny hills, this is the best ride ever.
Oh, God.
I will scream. I will cry. I don't like the takeoff. I don't like the dip.
Yeah.
I don't like I don't like going upside down. It's terrifying. And I just scream and I want off. And then as soon as you go around that one turn, you're like, okay, this is fun. I'll let go of his arm. I'm like, wee! I'm so bipolar. Obviously.
No, I'm the same with that ride. Once it gets going, it's good, but that launch is just I hate how intense it is.
The launch, hate it.
Oh,
and you thought airplanes were like that, didn't you?
I did, and we'll talk about the airplane because that's a whole other can of worms. That was like first time on an airplane in a real long time too. But yeah, it was wild, absolutely wild. But Epcot is a top-notch, beautiful park. I loved Spaceship Earth. The attraction inside there is really cool now I know what the burning Rome smells like. It's amazing.
Get it now, right?
I get it. I also do want to give a shout out because we're talking Epcot. It feels appropriate to showcase Of Wishes, our dear friend. He spent a lot of time with us at Epcot and really the whole trip, to be quite honest with you, but he's a big Epcot person. I want to give him a big shout out. Great guy. He's got a real passion for this park, and it was really an honor, and it was fun to hang out with him at that park. So
yeah,
big shout out to Showcase.
Yeah, he was able to, join us for the countries around the world. He joined us on Spaceship Earth, dinner at Rose and Crown, the fireworks. So yeah, I'm very, very glad that he was able, to share in the experience with us. So
absolutely.
The nighttime show was fantastic, and I just want to say thank you to George for really helping orchestrate that, because he did get us into Rose and Crown, and oh my gosh, it was amazing to have him walk us out from dinner. Emma took us out there and literally have 12 people around us. There was like a little section they blocked off, and they're like, here you go. We were able to watch the nighttime spectacular show. It was phenomenal.
So good.
So good.
And I'm so glad, and thank you, by the way, Mindy, I appreciate it. But Epcot Forever, I feel like, is one of those nighttime shows that you have to be into Disney, into Epcot to really fully understand it. I think a lot of just normies that would go and watch it, which would enjoy it, but they hear like Horizons or veggie fruit, and they're like, what the hell is that? Like, what does that have to do with it? But it's the history of Epcot and all the attractions that were part of that park that are maybe no longer there, and they kind of bring it together cohesively with the lighting and the fireworks and the music and everything. And I have to say, I would take Epcot Forever any day over Harmonious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So we didn't get to ride it when I was there, but you guys had gone back, which I'm so glad you did, Chris, because it's a great park.
Yeah.
But did you get to experience living with the land?
Yes.
Yay! I was so sad you didn't get to see it.
Yes, we did.
Like,
we made I made sure the second time around he had to definitely do that.
It was awesome.
So happy. It's such a cheesy ride. Like, you think, okay, you're like riding through plants on a small world boat. Like, it's so cheesy, but it's so Disney. It's so, I'm in Epcot and I love it. I love that ride. I love it.
Well, and yeah, I loved it too. And it's classic Disney. It's that edutainment. And I was
Yeah.
really, really surprised at how when you go through Epcot, because Epcot still has a lot of that edutainment in there, surprisingly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was really surprised at just how popular a lot of that stuff still is. Like that Living with the Land had a decent line. It was busy in that little pavilion thing.
Right.
I love to see it. I love that attraction. I absolutely love it. Really, really interesting stuff. So I hope it stays forever. I hope they don't get rid of that stuff because that really does give Epcot, I think that like its soul a little bit, right? It's not.
And a couple fun facts that a lot of the fruits and vegetables that are grown in Living with the Land is used for the foods and salads that are around Epcot and also around Walt Disney World. So a lot of it gets transported to the restaurants from Living with the Land. And for anyone who does enjoy Living with the Land, there's also a tour called the Behind the Seeds tour that you can do where they take you a little bit more in depth with how they go with the growing of the fruits and the vegetables and what have you. And there's a little kiosk by the entrance and exit of the ride where you can sign up for the tour.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, I've never personally done it myself, but I've always wanted to do it. I've known some people who have, and they said it's a fun little tour.
Or eat at the restaurant that spins while you can watch the attraction.
The Garden Grill.
The Garden Grill. I've always wanted to eat there. You can see characters while you dine there. Mickey in his little, pitchfork farmer outfit. But it's such a great attraction. It's like you said, edutainment, classic Disney. I just love it. You cannot go to Epcot and not ride Living with the Land. That's all I gotta say.
You got to do it. You got to do it. So Epcot, phenomenal park. It definitely lived up to my expectations. Good. Now, the second park we went to the next day was Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, going into this park, I believe in the last video, I said this is probably going to be my least favorite. What I pictured going into this park was like, if you guys have been to Universal Studios Hollywood and you go on the lower lot, that Transformers building with just the ugly Transformers thing on the wall. Yeah, that's what I pictured Hollywood Studios, like the whole park like that.
Wow.
So when I went into Hollywood Studios and it was that much better than that. I mean, it was old school Hollywood, real theming. They had like a little version of the Carthay and like that old Hollywood vibe going through, like real fleshed out stuff. It wasn't just a bunch of sound stages. I was really impressed by this little park. This little park actually rose up my ranks a little bit. It just exceeded my expectations quite a bit. Now, look, it's not Epcot, but it definitely is better than I expected. George, what are your overall thoughts?
And just think how better it would even been if they would have used that extra land to expand the park and not that god awful SCART cruiser.
Right.
I know.
But as far as the park of what it is right now, I still enjoy Hollywood Studios. Just like you, OG, it's not my all-time favorite Disney park, but my favorite land out of the whole park is Sunset Boulevard, because that's the land that actually gives off that old classic old school Hollywood. And then right off of that, adjacent to that, is the Hollywood Broad Derby, which again it lives the glory days of Hollywood. And that's always something that I had an appreciation to Hollywood Studios, and I hope that they keep that, even if it's just that land, that little piece of land. Just keep it like that. Don't touch it. And then, of course, we had lunch at 50's Primetime Cafe, which is one of my all-time favorite restaurants. The theming, and I know we both know OG Mindy's. That's her restaurant. It's basically her house.
It is my house. It is my house, you guys. I live straight out of the 1950s. One thing I will say about Hollywood Studios, and I told OG this when we were there, I said something about Walt Disney World is, if you've been to Disneyland, I go often, about every 3 weeks or so, is Walt Disney World is really Disneyland squished into two parks. And
Right.
if you take Hollywood Studios, it's Hollywood Boulevard at DCA, just one
Right.
big park of it. And it's that old school turn when Walt showed up, and it's all Hollywood, but it has my favorite restaurant in the entire world, 50s Primetime Cafe.
Yes.
You guys, it's my house. I live in a house. I have peak kitchen cabinets with a black and white checkered floor, a 1954 hot point stove, and a 1952 refrigerator.
No, and from what you were telling me too, like you would actually go and find like statues and figures that kind of like were similar to what you find at Primetime.
Exact replicas, Chris.
Wow.
Not just like, oh, it looks like it. No, I've done it for a while. So I went into Primetime, and I did it this last time too, because you go around, I take pictures of everything on the walls, and I zoom in and I find that exact thing, and I bring it to my house. So there are at least 14, 15 things that I own that are exact replicas of what is at Primetime. But yes, my house looks like 50s Primetime Cafe. Literally. The inside, you walk in, you walked into a 1950s home.
And I also have to say, this woman down here, she's very handy, very crafty. Definitely check out her channel, because one of her videos, it shows her literally building this very old-fashioned television set that people used to watch Disneyland on. They used to watch the Walt Disney, and like that was her inspiration to, kind of create her house into this era. So again, if you haven't checked out Sweet Miss Magical Mindy channel, definitely check it out.
Yeah, so that's the park though. Like the whole park exhumes 1950. So to be honest, it really raises it up a notch for me, because it has my favorite restaurant in it. I cannot go to Walt Disney World and not go to Hollywood Studios because of 50s Primetime Cafe. And they also have, my kids love it, but I don't think you got to go in there, but it's the drive-in. What's it? My brain's not.
The Sci-Fi Dine-In.
Sci-Fi Dine-In, where you get in the 1950s cars and watch old films. But I'm partial to 50s Primetime Cafe.
It's awesome. And our waitress was awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
she really played along with the no elbows on the table. She was calling me Callie because I'm from California.
Callie, that's right.
Yeah. And it was like funny too, because like they make you, like they kind of pressure you to eat, which is kind of funny, because I'm actually not like a super big eater. Like, so when I eat a lot all day, but I eat little bits each time. So like it was a little bit stressful. Like she's like looking at me like, I'm sorry, I can't finish all the chicken, I just can't do it, But she was awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love the experience. I love they had like the old Mickey Mouse Club on the screens and things like that. Just awesome experience overall. We also got to check out Runaway Railway, which is very similar to the California version, minus
how do you like it? What do you compare? So let's hear your take on this. Compare it to Disneyland's. What do you think?
I think, well, the ride itself is pretty much identical. But I think that the queue area for Disneyland is so much better, because I think it was built from scratch. So it feels a little shoehorned with the Chinese theater stuff. It was not terrible. It's not terrible at all. It's not, cheap looking or anything like that. It just didn't really fit and match like the Disneyland version. So yeah, it's definitely not ours, but it's okay. It's decent. It's kind of, it's okay. And George, what are you on the same page, or you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like you take it or leave it. It's not like it's there. They have an extra ride. I'm happy for Hollywood Studios in that sense. I really wish it didn't replace the Great Movie Ride. I'm sorry, folks. I know it was an old, tired attraction, but they could have done so much more with that. They could have added new movie scenes in with it. And I know that there was probably a lot of legal obligations with licensing for films. I get it, but that was a ride that I completely adored at Hollywood Studios. But for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the ride was decent, just like how at Disneyland, but the queue at Disneyland, it can't be beat.
Can't be beat. It can't be beat. Now, Mindy, you're chicken like I am, so we're gonna talk a little bit of Slinky Dog now.
Oh.
Now, this ride was interesting because going into Slinky Dog, I was kind of like, okay, it's a baby, like not a baby ride, but a kiddie ride. I was expecting a little more like of a Gadgets Go coaster.
I tried to warn OG. Okay, I said,
she
look,
did.
it's not Gadget Go Coaster. I said, it's
Mm-mm.
actually pretty intense. I said, OG, it's pretty intense. He's like, what? I said, no, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, and it is.
And for people like us who literally Incredicoaster is like the max roller coaster we do. Like and it still terrifies me. I don't go to Six Flags at all. Like I just don't. And this attraction still gets you because it's not like, oh, a little 3-year-old's going to have fun. We got you Go Coaster or Goofy Sky School. It's not like that. It's even more intense than Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
I could agree with that.
It's got high dips and it goes around and it's pretty intense.
It's intense. Yeah, it gets pretty high up and it's like you're at an angle and everything. And like the thing with Slinky Dog though, compared to like Cosmic Rewind, is Slinky Dog goes right up to the line, but it never actually crosses that line. So I was never like too scared. Cosmic goes to the line and then crosses it, and then goes to another line and crosses that one too. Like,
yes.
It's just like, but it was cool. Slinky Dog's a fun ride. It's more intense than you would expect, so, but it's fun.
Really cute. It's really cute. The queue line is adorable. You literally walk into Toy Story Land. You just feel tiny. You feel like you're with, Woody and Buzz and walking around having a great time. And now you're going to go ride a little Slinky Dog coaster. It's so cute. It's really cute.
It was awesome. It was really, really awesome. And then go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, and then another benefit of Hollywood Studios is what it really showcases the most is their live entertainment, their shows. And I'm glad that, we were able to see several of those shows, the Frozen Sing-Along Celebration, the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular.
Yes. And
even though you used to have it over at DCA, which is no longer there, but you got to relive Muppet Vision 3D.
Yeah.
Which is actually
awesome.
Another little fun fact. Anyone go into Muppet Vision 3D, when you walk into the entrance and to the right, there's a box office window and it says, be back in 30 minutes or something, or be back out to lunch. The key is under the mat. If you lift up the mat, there's the key underneath the mat. So that's a little hidden gem that a lot of people don't know about.
It's cute.
No, the live entertainment at Hollywood Studios was really fun. The Indiana Jones thing was really cool. Gave me kind of like old school Universal Studios Hollywood vibe, which is actually really good. I used to like when Universal would kind of lean into that movie magic stuff. The Indiana Jones stunt show kind of leaned into that. That was really awesome. The Frozen sing-along thing, which you took us to, George, was great. The performers were really, really funny. The kids would go absolutely nuts for this thing. I mean, it was like insane when it would snow and everything. It was just like everyone was really into it. That was a really fun show. Live entertainment there is great. Now, Fantasmic is.
I forgot we watched Fantasmic.
Okay. Wait. Now moving into Fantasmic. Now, before we get into the details of the show itself compared to Disneyland, OG, I have to ask you. The lead up to watching the show, walking to the Hollywood Hills Amphitheater, sitting down, seeing the full effect that you don't see necessarily at Disneyland, because at Disneyland, Fantasmic is part of the land. It's part of the park. Where this, you're actually walking to the show itself. What was your take on? Because you heard about it, but now you actually got to experience it. Like, what was your take on that?
Okay, so the lead up, walking up to the amphitheater, it's really nice. It's there's a lot of trees. It's very lush. It's beautiful. It really is. But there's nothing that will ever compete with Disneyland's, because Disneyland, because when you go into the Hollywood Studios Fantasmic, they let you know out the gate, this is a show, this is a show, this is a show. We're leading you into an amphitheater with benches. You're watching a show. With Disneyland, the magic, so to speak, erupts in the park itself that you experience during the day. there's something about that makes Fantasmic so unique at Disneyland. So it's not that Hollywood Studios is necessarily bad. It's not bad, like the lead up and everything. It's a beautiful amphitheater and the lead up is gorgeous. It's just compared to Disneyland and that organic feel that you get there, it's just not the same. It's just not, you know.
But we have to take in consideration that Walt Disney World's Fantasmic has Mindy's favorite boat ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what
I just have to interject because it irks me, you guys. It irks me. So the first time I ever saw Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios, we were so excited. This was back in 2003, and we watch it, and I literally had no clue. I was in my head. I go, that is the cheapest knockoff version of the Mark Twain I have ever seen in my entire life. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's Steamboat Willie. But, oh, my gosh, it looks awful. It's like
awful.
They just put together this little boat for the characters to go dun, 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 and for them to walk around in a circle. Like, it's got to be the finale on the Mark Twain. They got to do something. So let's make a little boat and just shoehorn it in there. It's just a big pet peeve of mine.
Oh, no, I'm with you on that, Mindy. There was a lot of stuff about that show that I kind of got a little secondhand embarrassment. Like, there were some projections where like the characters would like morph into other characters.
Yeah.
I think it was the villain section, and their faces would go, and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is not good. Okay, this is not. So yeah, they're Fantasmic. It's a passable show.
Yeah.
It's just when you have Disneyland, which is like the freaking gold standard, it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't do it. So it's an entertaining show. It's good to bring the kids. It's fun. It's a 25-minute thing that you can do and you can enjoy it. Absolutely. It just doesn't compare to Disneyland. It just doesn't.
Don't wait 3 hours for it. That's all I'd say. Don't wait. You're going to get a good spot, even walking up last minute. You're good. You know, wherever you see it. It's a huge amphitheater. Don't wait 3 hours for it. You don't need to go sit in that little queue line area that they have for it. You don't need to.
No.
But I will say, plausible, like you can go watch it, but it's meh.
Yeah, it is. Now, one of the things that I was impressed about was actually the energy from the crowd leading up to the show with the wave and all that. That was awesome. I love that kind of energy, and they play like the kind of like the Disney pop music stuff. That was really fun. So this version is very different. It has good and bad to it. So if you're a Disneyland person, it's good to check it out. Kind of see what it offers, but I don't know. It fell pretty short compared to the one out here, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we all agree. I tried like, hey, OG, I'm just warning you. Because Disneyland, it's so remarkable. I mean, even the ship that they use the Columbia, and they come out and they've got the fighting scenes, and it flows so much better on that little lake than it does in that amphitheater.
I just have two gripes with Disneyland's Fantasmic that they changed, and I wish that they didn't. That was the very beginning when Mickey comes out, and he doesn't do his traditional
his
dance that he does still at Walt Disney World. I miss that at Disneyland. Right. And the second thing is, it's still good. It's still okay. I enjoy the Pirates sequence, but I miss Peter Pan.
Oh, hands down. Bring back Peter.
Come on, bring him back. Bring him back. So Hollywood Studios overall, it was a park that I had, my expectations were really, really low. Went there, actually, it impressed me more than I thought it would. So it was a really, really fun park. So interesting stuff.
So OG above or below Epcot?
Oh, it's definitely below Epcot.
Okay, So Epcot's still number one. All right.
Epcot's still number one. It's definitely below Epcot.
Okay.
Now the next park we went to was Magic Kingdom. Now that's interesting because this is kind of another Fantasmic Disneyland comparison. Magic Kingdom, man, it's tough because there's elements in Magic Kingdom that I really love. I love the People Mover. We did that like one of the first things when we got there.
I made sure of that. I made sure the People Mover was going to be the first ride.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Carousel of Progress, again, amazing, right? I think overall, the Tomorrowland over there is incredible compared to ours.
Yeah.
Is, way better. But overall, Magic Kingdom, it's just, it felt like to me, like the live action version of Disneyland. And what I mean by that is like when you watch like a live action version of the animated movies, it hits all the same beats as the animated version, but it feels soulless and something's not right. That's what Magic Kingdom is to me.
I love that.
Such a good analogy because Disneyland is charming and Magic Kingdom is just open cement. And I mean that lovingly because they can't plant all the trees like Disneyland can. It's not been growing, it's 71, but it doesn't have as much grass and little charm to it, and it's not as cute and quaint.
It's not. It's missing something. I don't feel anything when I'm there. There's elements of it that are fantastic. Look, I loved the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I think we hit that up twice.
We hit
phenomenal
that
coaster. That was
which
so
I
much
have to say, I rode it with OG the first ride we went on, and he wasn't expecting literally right out the gate. Yeah. Right out the gate, that thing just like took off, and he was like, "Whoa!" He was like, "This thing's starting already." I thought he said, "I thought like we ease into it." It's like no,
there was no foreplay. That thing just like boom, we're going.
You're in.
It was like you're in. I mean, you get in and you're off, and it was crazy, but it wasn't like it was kind of like Slinky Dog, where it was like thrilling enough. It goes right up to the line, but it never crosses it, and the theming is really fun. And I would love to see something like that come out here to Anaheim. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And they could.
Yeah. And it will probably be like Frozen or something, or Tangled. And I'm fine with that. But it was a really good coaster. But overall, I got to say though, Magic Kingdom just wasn't it. And it's funny because I actually put Hollywood Studios over Magic Kingdom in my ranking. Like
you did.
Right now it's Epcot, Hollywood, Magic is where, like, so far that's where we're at right now.
Before we went there, you had what we had planned, guys, is we're like, okay, well, let's go to Hollywood Studios for half a day and go back to the Poly, do a pool day, get, drinks by the pool. Let's lay out. Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy the Poly. Because we wanted to, have a Poly day and enjoy that. But when we got there, OG loved it so much. We're like, you guys, why don't we just flip-flop it? Let's stay here. And we did, you guys. We closed that park. And then we ended up doing a half day at Magic Kingdom, though. So, we have to kind of interject that because it kind of says something a little bit and because it does overlap Disneyland so much that you can be like, okay, it's not, you can see all the things at Disneyland that's there, but it's a different feeling.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally different feeling. That park is completely different. And like when you walk down Main Street at Magic Kingdom, it's like, see, bigger is sometimes better and bigger sometimes isn't better. Like when I'm going through, and here, look, to be honest, I don't know if Main Street at Magic Kingdom is supposed to be like Marceline or like inspired by like that same turn of the century. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Marceline. It's Marceline and a little town in what's next to Colorado. There's a little town that it's based off those, and that's not what Walt Disney World is based off of. So totally different.
What one is Walt Disney World based off of? Because Walt Disney World feels like kind of way too big or way too grand or something. It just doesn't feel small town at all.
So they based it off of like the antebellum kind of, I guess, those kind of buildings. But so Disneyland is more, and they're different scales.
Yeah.
Walt Disney World is bigger on their Main Street versus ours, which is like 5. It's a lot smaller scale. And our castle is like itty bitty tiny. Yeah. But we can go inside of ours. I love being able to walk through our castle. I do.
No, it's great. Yeah, the scale is huge on the Main Street. Now, one thing I didn't love the Main Street is because I do like the quaintness of Disneyland's Main Street, but I did love the Walt and Minnie. I mean, I'm sorry, not Walt and Minnie. Roy and Minnie statue when you first walked in.
Like that.
I love that. I thought that was a really nice little homage to Roy, who was like such a rock star getting that thing built. Unbelievable. But go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
No, I'm actually glad you mentioned that because that's what I was going to mention. My take on it is, as I've gotten older and was able to kind of compare Disneyland with Magic Kingdom, from my own personal experiences, is how both Pirates of the Caribbeans are at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. I feel like at the time when Walt passed, they didn't know really what to do with Walt Disney World. And it was so more geared towards Epcot and it being a living quarters, not necessarily a vacation kingdom. The theme park was supposed to be secondary to the living quarters. So after Walt passed, they had to make the theme park be the main headliner. And without their leader, that's where Magic Kingdom was kind of missing that touch because it didn't have Walt's fingerprints on it. So credit to his brother, Roy.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
for him being a person that only handled the finances and to get that theme park up and ready in time, but you could definitely tell Disneyland's is Walt's park.
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom is Roy's park.
You could tell.
You can feel Walt at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And he has a lamp. Like his apartment's there, you guys. It's a real apartment. And it kind of feels like I looked up there and I was in, we were at Magic Kingdom and I looked up and there's no window. And I was like, because I always wave to Walt. I know that's still so silly, but I do. I'm like, hi, Walt. Yeah, I always wave to him. Every time I walk into the gates and every time I leave, I wave to Walt. And I looked up and I was like, can't wave. There's nothing there. Yeah. You can feel Walt inside of Disneyland.
Oh, you can. That Disneyland has such it's palpable. You can't even explain it. And then that's why when I walked into Magic Kingdom and it was all the same beats, the castle, the Main Street and everything, but it was like the live action. It was like soulless though. There was no heartbeat. So that's why I'm telling you, like Hollywood Studios, it's above Magic Kingdom. I mean,
We're gonna get eaten alive by the diehard Walt Disney World people. They're gonna be like pitchforking us.
They might. I just got to keep it 100%.
Guilty. That is all.
Guilty. Yeah. So Magic Kingdom. Now I will say this: the Happily Ever After was absolutely gorgeous. Incredible fireworks show. Absolutely incredible. Love that to death. Absolutely awesome. So that was fun. Now your railroad needs some work, y'all. That one, nothing to see.
Yeah, that's basically, it's just a railroad, which is, it still pays, tribute to Walt, his love of trains and what have you, but there's no overall theming to it. There's no storyline that moves through it. It's just props just kind of sitting there with a lot of, I hate to say it, shrubbery. That's basically all you get.
Well, and this is the thing too with Walt Disney World is that at the resort, there's so many really amazing forms of transportation, whether you're taking a boat, a ferry, a gondola, there's like a million and a half things you could take. So it's like you go on that train and it's like, it just falls short compared to everything else you've experienced at the resort.
100%.
It's just not there.
Well, we get on and I told you, I'm like, this isn't like Disneyland. There's no diorama that you can't see the park. It's not, we're going through, here's Small World or here's Fantasyland. It's nothing like that. No. And I truly believe Disneyland obviously was made to take a tour of the park. Like, I'm on the train. It is to go from one place to another as well, but you're getting a tour of the park. Disney World is not like that. It's literally all trees. You're just getting from one place to another. That's the whole point of the train.
Yeah. It lacks a lot of personality.
And that's the one disappointing thing that, I felt like that they didn't follow through with Walt's initial plan is when he said we
Right.
have the blessing of size. So it's like utilize it. It's
Use
like
it.
you have the land. Disneyland gets more creative with very little land that they have, and Walt Disney World has the land, and it's like they're just like relying on their laurels. Just say, yeah, we have the land. You know, it's big talk. We'll use it.
So
Well, it's like
we didn't get to go on it. Sorry to interrupt, but
No,
just
no,
a
go ahead.
question. We didn't get to go on it because we did only spend half a day there. We ate lunch and left because we were like, okay, let's not do our lunch. We ended up going back to the Poly. But you guys did you guys go back to Magic Kingdom and ride Pirates and go on Jungle Cruise?
we didn't. No,
Oh.
we actually. Yeah.
Now you got to go back. Now you
Now I gotta go back. Yeah, we did
Well-
not do that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I mean,
That day it was like we had it in our minds to say, oh yeah, we're going to do Pirates, we're going to do Haunted Mansion, we're going to do
We did.
Jungle Cruise. Oh wait, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
We
Did
did
we
Haunted
did we do
Mansion.
Haunted Mansion? We did
Yeah.
Haunted
we
Mansion.
did Haunted. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so to do Pirates, to do Jungle Cruise, and what have you. But
The Poly
just
was
seemed
calling
like-
our name.
yeah,
You
it
guys-
was just like
it was
it was
hot.
time. It was a hot day.
It was sick hot that day, you guys. Like,
And we-
the
and we
first
didn't
2
have-
days were okay, but
And
then
we
it
didn't
was
have
just-
Splash Mountain, so it was like we had to intervene to go. And that's the other thing I still don't understand with especially the Florida parks. You have these parks in the one of the hottest states in the country, and you only have 2 water rides between the 4 parks.
Crazy.
That to me is just baffling. I feel like that there should be at least a minimum of 2 water rides.
Right.
You know what's
park.
baffling to me? Asking for motherfucking ice. It's like pulling teeth to get ice. I didn't even want water. I just wanted ice in my cup. Because I have
know.
a really
It's
hard
like-
time drinking warm water. Like, it makes me kind of sick. And I needed to drink water. Like, I really did. And it was, my health was in jeopardy. Like, I needed to drink it. And I went up, asked a cast member. She's like, we can't give you water here or ice. And I was like, what? She's like, you must go over there. I was like, okay.
Oh my god.
It was, geez. I'm like, you realize it's like 100 degrees out here with 90% humidity. We need ice.
Yeah. Oh, that humidity. I tell you, man.
It
And
was-
that I'm not like really like I can handle heat. Like I'm in California, it's 105 out here. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm happy. I don't like cold weather. I'm fine. But in Florida, it's a different kind of heat where it's like it's hot, but you're always wet. You know, like it's either raining and you're wet, or you're sweaty and you're wet, or it's always wet.
You're
right,
just
George?
wet.
I know George has a perverted joke in there somewhere. And I'm not really-
I knew it. It's like going into your shower and turning on the hottest water you can, closing the door, and walking in your bathroom and be like, I'm in Florida. That's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like.
OG, that's why I love California.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we know what he's talking about. So let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
But instead of actually moving on, if we wouldn't mind like rewinding all the way back, because we actually forgot something.
What?
Our first night, we got to go to the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground
we
for the
did.
Hoop-de-Doo
That's right.
review.
We did. That was
Interject.
phenomenal. Yes, Hoop-de-Doo was awesome. And George, thank you for that. From what I understand, I'm not a huge Disney World person, but from what I'm hearing, it was really hard to get into that.
It's very hard to get in, and actually, I guess I was at the right place at the right time because I literally got us the last table for the last performance of the night.
It was amazing. It's like, for those of you at home that are not aware, it's basically the Golden Horseshoe review, like on steroids. And it's just
Absolutely.
the best time. Bottomless beers. Like, come on, that's crazy. You know, I mean, the airline should have offered that with all the stress I was going through. You know? Like, I would have got that on the airline.
Drown it out.
Yeah,
You know what else
exactly.
he also got us, we didn't mention, is Space 220.
Yes, yes.
That's
So
right.
we forgot to mention that that's at Epcot. Now, OG was a little hesitant to go on this because he's thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be like the hell of all hell elevators."
And
Right.
my mom was too because of the heights. Yeah.
Oh,
So for
okay.
all you don't know, my mom also joined us on the Walt Disney World portion. She was
Yeah.
staying at the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. We got to see her cabin when we all went to the Hoop-de-Doo review. And just one little other thing, I think we all were kind of tickled pink by this. This was actually at Hollywood Studios when OG mentioned about the Jack Jack cookie num num. My mom was like head over heels. You would have thought she won the lottery.
I'm telling you.
For these cookies.
Oh, his mom was so excited. She was almost like borderline in tears. She's like, "They have them here?" I'm like,
Is
yes.
she not the nicest person you've ever met in your whole entire life? Like his mom just exudes happiness. Like, hi mom, hi if you're watching. But she is the most down to earth, lovable person you can ever meet in your whole life.
She really is such a treasure. We love your mom, George. She's a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart, absolute sweetheart.
So she was very happy to get that cookie nom nom.
She was, but as you were saying, Mindy, about Space 220.
I told you, I said you're not going to be disappointed. I said it's the hardest ticket to get at Walt Disney World right now, and George had asked me, should we cancel it? Let's move some things around. I said I would pay just to go there because it's amazing. Like, it's a great experience to eat at Space 220.
Oh, it was awesome. Really, really cool. It was kind of a little Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. And the theming, you actually kind of we were all talking about how we kind of felt like we were like almost on a spaceship, like the ground. Your mind plays tricks on you almost because the theming is so good. You kind of feel
like you're doing this a little bit.
Yeah, and the food was really cool, and we had a really good time.
It was a great experience. Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to keep it and do the experience, even if it's a type of restaurant that I feel like you don't have to do it every single time you go to Walt Disney World, but I mean, you should at least experience it one time just to say you did it. And before we get back on the track, OG, I think I hear a train in the distance here.
You hear a train. Now, Mindy might not be familiar with what we do when we hear a train, but you'll know, Mindy.
I do.
I must have hit that track switch.
There we go. So there we go. To keep in line with our Hollywood Studios segment, that worked out perfect.
Great.
It's that restaurant was really, really awesome. Really great experience. Now the last park, we have one more park, and then we're going to talk cruise. The last park was really for me, the crown jewel, which was Animal Kingdom.
That's so awesome.
Oh,
this guy right here, we weren't even through the turnstiles and he was sold immediately.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. You walk in and just the natural beauty, the trees, and it was very every day in Florida, but very humid and kind of misty. And the theming it blew me away. I walked in and I'm like, oh man, Epcot's got some competition. It has absolute competition. This park is just gorgeous. I mean, every turn you go, there's waterfalls and then you go into the Harambe and you feel the culture. You feel I was telling George, I was I feel like I'm in a different country. It doesn't even feel like I'm in Florida. No, Animal Kingdom is top notch, and that's not even including Pandora and all of that. I mean, it blew my mind. Now, I don't know. I think Animal Kingdom is my number one. I think it is. I really, really do. But Epcot's a really close number two, if possible. It might even be tied for number one, but those are my parks.
What? And that's what's funny. When we were in Animal Kingdom, you said, "Oh, Animal Kingdom, this is my park. This is it right here." But then when we went back to Epcot, you were like, oh no, now I'm kind of feeling Epcot. So I think honestly for you, I think they're kind of tied. Yeah. It's whatever park you're in that day, that becomes your number one.
Yeah, I love the organic feel of Animal Kingdom. I love the cultural aspect of it. You feel like you're in Asia. They have on the walls the Coca-Cola logo, but it's in Thailand, Thai, and
all it's faded.
Yeah, it's all faded. It looks so cool. We ate at Yak and Yeti again, George. Thanks to you getting those reservations. I mean, Yak and Yeti was awesome. I just felt like I was on some expedition somewhere in some other country. It really does transport.
Did you how did you like the safari? Because that's kind of the gem of the park. What did you think of it?
Oh, amazing! It's absolutely amazing. The first time we went with you, Mindy, we saw a lot of animals. It was beautiful. Second time I went with George again, like the following week, it was raining, so it was kind of a different experience. No, it's beautiful. I mean,
Which
it's
I feel
absolutely
like
beautiful.
it brought the animals out closer when it was
Really?
raining. Yeah.
Wow.
They came out a little more on that rainy day, but that's the cool thing about that experience is that every time is literally different. And that's kind of like the cool thing too about the safari is it almost feels like a souped up version of the Jungle Cruise.
Right.
Like, like a beefed up version of that. And they took what Walt's original idea and they expanded it like 20,000 percentage points. And it was really, really cool to see. I love that.
Joe Rohde killed it. That's all. He just killed that park. It was phenomenal.
Oh, amazing. Expedition Everest.
Did you ride Dinosaur?
We did ride Dinosaur. That one.
We didn't get to do that when I was there. We didn't go, but Dinosaur is the worst attraction Disney has ever made.
It's bad.
I loved OGs because after we rode it, we were still in the vehicle, and I had to get his initial reaction right then and there. Because after riding Indiana Jones, and not having anything to compare it to, it was like, okay, I have to get his initial thoughts right then and there. So I turned to him and I said, "So what did you think?" And he looked at me. He said, "It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad." And then he paused and he went, "Wasn't good, but it wasn't bad."
Yeah. It's very, very mid, there's elements of it that are so dated. It's okay. I mean, it's just when you know it's the same ride system and the same everything of Indiana Jones, it makes it worse, kind of, it's okay. They really need to freshen that thing up. Rumor is it might be Zootopia.
Oh,
maybe they'll do that.
It's not even okay, OG. It's not okay.
Yeah,
you go through the dark. It's okay. You go on, look, Indiana Jones, great attraction.
Oh, yeah.
You get on this, you're like, oh, there's the turn. Oh, there's that turn. And it's dark, 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 roar. Dark, 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 roar. Dark, 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 roar. Going back in time. And it's over.
Which, that's what I never understood, at least with Indiana Jones for the dark sequences of the ride, because you're in a temple.
Right.
Where when you see all these dark elements, aren't you supposed to be outside? And I get that the meteor shower is coming, but it still shouldn't be that pitch black.
Right.
Yeah,
and when the dinosaurs are there, they've got the greenery and the scenes, and it would be so much better if you were like transporting through that. Do you remember going on E.T.? Remember that attraction where you felt like you were outside everywhere?
Yeah.
That's what I have in my head when I think I'm supposed to be transported outside. There should be trees everywhere. There should be dirt where I can see. Like I'm running through the real attraction. And
that's what my mom thought it was going to be her first time when she wrote it. And that was a big shocker for her.
Nothing like that. And
nothing like E.T. at all. And I don't want to compare to E.T., but E.T. really puts you outside, and that's where you're supposed to be. And it's literally just black. It's just black, pitch black. And then there's a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's weird. Even like Radiator Springs Racers does a better job at like portraying like you're outdoors at night, you know. This one didn't do that. It was really, really lackluster. Now Pandora, that land blew my mind because this was one of those things where it was like I'm walking through this place, right? And I'm taking pictures and I'm like, it was almost frustrating how the pictures don't really capture how amazing it really is. You take a picture
blown away. I was blown away. I loved seeing your face. I had the same look too when I saw it. George took me there. I was like, pictures don't do it justice at all.
Not at all. You can take 1 million pictures, 1 million video, and it doesn't capture it. It's an incredible experience. The two attractions, Flight of Passage, we went on that one twice. That was awesome. It's like Soarin', but you're like on like a Banshee.
Tours. Yeah, Star Tours meets Soarin'.
Yeah, and it's not like. And a lot of attractions nowadays, especially Universal, it's like everything's action and like they throw everything at you. I liked how they really held back on that with this, and it was a really tranquil, beautiful experience. It's almost like not to
and
get
that's
too
another and just hold your thought really quick. And
Sure.
what you just mentioned right now, you could actually thank James Cameron for that, because Disney wanted something a little bit more intense, and he said no, he used like a term of saying, let the ride flow through Pandora.
Like,
don't let
nature
Pandora
take
come
its
at you.
course.
Exactly. Yes.
It was such a beautiful experience. It's almost like, and I don't want to get too like dark right now, but like it almost feels like when you hear people talk about like their near death experiences.
Yeah,
I'm on the wing.
Agree.
Right, like I'm on the wing of
like
I'm on the wing of like a butterfly, and I'm going through these beautiful scenes. Right, it's almost like that. It was almost like this near-death experience where like it just changes your life. It was just beautiful.
And the best part, like it blows my mind, but it's. I told OG, I was like, the thing breathes between your thighs. I know that sounds so funny, but it does. Like you feel its heart, like, and you're like, my legs, okay, my thighs, hello. But you feel it, and it's like, okay, get the dirtiness out of your head.
Get the jug out, George.
You're good. No, I was just saying that's why they should. Well, I was just going to say that's why that they should have a smoking section after the fact you're done with the ride.
I cried. I laughed.
You did. You had every emotion. Every emotion you could possibly have, you had, because you really didn't know how to feel. Like it was exhilarating, but yet it was beautiful. It was something that you've never experienced before, and again, it's one of my favorite attractions at all of Walt Disney World.
It really is. It's fantastic. One of my top favorites.
It's beautiful. And then the Navi River ride is very similar in the sense where there's not any action, but you just kind of go through these beautiful set pieces. It's like
so
Pirates.
You got to go on that. You did.
I did.
Yes.
Hey, I'm so happy you went back. I really
Yeah. So with the bioluminescence, very beautiful experience. Love that. Pandora really just knocked it out of the park for me. What else? Everest was cool. Everest was like a Slinky Dog, where it goes up to the line, never really crosses it. Yeah. I was worried about that one because it looks more.
It crosses it a little bit for me, but we'll digress there.
a little bit.
I think the only part that, after seeing your experience on Cosmic Rewind, the one part that I was just a little bit concerned about was just the backwards part. Not necessarily where you're up at the track and it goes backwards, but when you actually enter through the mountain and it kind of pulls you upward. But that's where I felt like it kind of saved you, because I felt like if it pulled you downward, that's where it would have been some issues there.
I would have been like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. So Animal Kingdom absolutely crushed it. Everything about that park is absolutely beautiful. Oh, I also love the train. I never even knew this existed. The train to Rafiki's is like the Jungle Cruise boats, but a train. I'm like, this is out of
So you went over to Rafiki's.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so glad you went back then, because you got to experience all of Epcot or all of
Animal
Kingdom. It is the best park. It really is. And I'm so glad you guys got to go back, because we didn't get to see it all that day. We tried, but I got sick and you had to get your stitches out. So I was really sick, you guys. Let me just tell you, it was hot at this park. It was so hot. It was the worst day that we had there. And Animal Kingdom's hot anyway, because it's just, and you're just sweating. The trees soak in the water, and it just makes it even more humid. And I was getting really, really sick. So unfortunately, I got dehydrated, had to go take care of some things, but it is what it is. But I'm glad you got to go back and experience what we didn't get to see that day. I really am.
Beautiful park. I mean, just A+ all around.
Oh, and then also you got to see Festival of the Lion King as well, the second time around.
Good, good.
That would kind of reminded me a little bit of like, we used to have a parade out here, the Lion King parade.
Remember that? Yeah.
And I think it's even
the same. Really was.
I think it's even like the same floats and everything.
I think so. They just regurgitated them at Disney World, and they just ship them over there. We'll reuse them.
Yeah, and they did a really good job with that. So yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful place. I mean, it made an impression on me where I went back twice. And same with Epcot. We did Epcot twice as well. Second time we went to Epcot, what did we do? We ate a lot.
Yeah, we did some of the things that you didn't do the first night. So you got to do Living with the Land, the Imagination with Figment.
Right.
You got to experience.
What did you think of that one?
That's cool. I mean, it's outdated, but it was cool.
Is.
It's edutainment, that edutainment, but it was like, it needs an updating big time.
It does.
Yeah.
And then we got to meet the second day, which I've never seen him in any of the parks before. And I sent you the picture, Mindy, was when OG and I took a picture with the penguin from Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I was like, what the heck? I'm missing the penguin. So cool. So cool.
Yeah, because
really
when I saw him,
cool
I was like, OG, I have to get a picture with him because I've never seen him out and about. So it was like, I have to take this photo opportunity.
So, OG, now that you've gone to all the parks and you've experienced them, you went back to your first, like your top two. You got to experience all of Disney World. And, I've been to Disney World. That was my 13th time. Wow. George, I've not been there that many times as George. George lives there. I'm Disneyland. I go every 3 weeks. And I live in Arizona. I've been to Disneyland over 600 times. Like, I know the park inside and out. Not so much Disney World, but I do love it. It's great. It's a vacation, and you're in a bubble. It's a city of Disney versus Disneyland. Tell us how you rank your parks.
Okay, so this is my official ranking. I'm going to have to go Animal Kingdom #1. Just everything about that park blew my mind.
Wow.
Epcot is a very, very close #2, almost to the point where it's almost tied. I mean, very close. Yeah. And then Hollywood was right under that.
Okay.
And then Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, I just think being a Disneylander, it just didn't do it. It just didn't do it. But overall, I loved Walt Disney World. It is a special place. It's very unique, very different. I love all the very different modes of transportation. Like we took the boat from Epcot to the Swan and Dolphin and all that, the yacht club.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can't do that anywhere. You can't do that at Disneyland, but you can't even do that at Universal Orlando. I mean, this is stuff that you just can't do that anywhere. I fell in love with it. Now,
before you
go ahead.
Yeah, before you move on, really quick, and to add on to what you're saying, OG, is again what you can't do anywhere else that you can at Walt Disney World is that there's a lot of walking paths that a lot of people don't know about that actually connects Epcot to Hollywood Studios, which I was the three of us were able to experience, and I was able to take you to the boardwalk and the Yacht and Beach Club, and just kind of show. And that's something where, again, it's part of the experience that when you're on the property, it's more than just the theme parks, but you incorporate the theme parks with the resorts and the resorts with the theme parks. They go hand in hand.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. Now, before we move to the final segment, which is the cruise line, I want to dip a little bit into Disney Springs. That was interesting. So we ate at Guy Fieri's Chicken Guy, right? I believe it's called.
Best ever. It's so good.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm a spice guy. I love hot, and they give you all the options there. Phenomenal chicken, just fantastic. I think we did that twice, actually, right, George?
We did that twice. Yeah, we went back to Disney Springs. Oh, I know where you're going to go with this after the Chicken Guy, because
where are we going?
Well, after our little hangout spot.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love our hangout spot. Paradiso 37.
Oh, you guys went back?
We went back. So shout out to cast member Keller. He was phenomenal.
Awesome.
Oh, he's awesome. We love Keller, and it's a great little Mexican place. They have a little bar. Keller is phenomenal. He was so great. We were talking with him and everything. That place is phenomenal. We did the boathouse with I believe our guy's name was it Joe, Mindy? Was that the guy's
Joe?
And he's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Oh, so funny. And technically he's not a cast member because it's Boathouse, but he was so funny. And some of his jokes were like pretty risque. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was kind of
Yeah,
fun.
so it was cool to actually take the amphicar out onto the water, and you got to experience, like, it's always nice to see Disney Springs, but when you see it through that perspective, and then you see Saratoga Springs on the other side of the water, and another aspect is Disney Springs really comes to life at night. It's where they amp up the music, the lights come on. It's basically like a city
different experience.
Yeah, it's completely different than any, and I do enjoy, downtown Disney for Disneyland. It is what it is, but I mean, Disney Springs is a whole nother type of nighttime entertainment, which I do miss Pleasure Island in a sense. I know it kind of got a little bit rowdy. They had to do some things, but the Adventures Club, mannequins that had the revolving dance floor. I'm a dancer. I love to dance, which I know we'll talk a little bit about an experience that we thought we were going to have on the cruise, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. Well, and that's one thing that I think Disney Springs is kind of missing is a little bit of nightlife for adults. I think that you could make some sort of club experience without it being like a raunchy thing,
Right.
They could have something like that. I think like a nightclub or something would be nice to have in there. But overall, Disney Springs is phenomenal. And
and really quick before we move on, again, another thing I remembered, Mindy was able to get us reservations at the Edison.
Yes.
And that was phenomenal. Again,
you guys liked it? I loved it.
Yeah, I did. And it's totally like, it's right up Mindy's alley. It's like, it has that like old traditional, like you're in a lounge and they're singing on stage, and the food was great.
Cool.
Oh, it's great. It's got that kind of like that steampunk thing going on.
Right.
Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. So now the final thing we did was the cruise line, the Disney Wish to Castaway Cay. Now this thing was like out of control. Now my first Disney cruise was back in November, the Wonder, and that went to Cabo, Mexico, which is beautiful. I told you, George, like I got off of that thing and I just fell in love with the cruises. I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
This was incredible. Number one, just the in-ship entertainment was great with the restaurants and everything like that. But just going to Castaway Cay and those white sand beaches and the water that you can actually see through. I mean, it's just in LA County, you want to try to see through any water over here in LA County? You're not seeing through any water.
No. You might end up with a couple needles in your feet. You got to be careful.
Exactly. It's more like green sludge.
Right.
This is like pool water. I mean, there were fish and all kinds of stuff. Mindy was scared to death about the fish.
Okay. I have a thing about oceans, all right? No, I really do. I have a huge phobia of ocean water. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later when we get there. But yeah, I really do. So, but it was great. I love Castaway Cay. It's a beautiful, beautiful island, and Disney knows how to just knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Which that is where this guy right here has that Italian tan going on.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's why I took out the tan, because Castaway Cay, the sun just hits so different over there. I don't know what it is, but boy, oh boy. I had a t-shirt on, and I didn't think, like, out here in California, like if like the stuff that's under my clothes, I don't put sunscreen on. But out there, I guess you have to. Yeah.
He burned through his clothes. He did. True story.
Through my clothes. I mean, that's insane. But it was worth it. I just absolutely loved Castaway Cay. Absolutely loved it. Just gorgeous, beyond gorgeous. So I'll try to share some of the pictures on like Twitter or something, so we can or maybe in a future video, we'll see.
And for all of you who might have seen it briefly during this recording, OG is sporting his Castaway Cay sipper that he got on the island.
Yeah, which I almost forgot, actually. I almost forgot this thing. I had to go back through that TSA checkpoint, back to get it. Yeah, because we actually, there's a sign, like the Bob Iger shipbuilder or whatever. And George and I thought it was hilarious. So we took a picture with it. I put this down, forgot it. We went back on the ship. I had to come back over to get it, but I got it. So we're good.
Oh, good.
We're good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now,
so.
as far as the ship itself, I feel like when they say that the Wish is the first out of the 3 Triton class, you could definitely feel that when you get on the ships, because especially for the older ones, like if you go on the
Right.
Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, or the Fantasy, they all kind of have like this Art Deco type of style to them, where
Right.
the Wish is more, I feel like, chic, very elegant, very
It's
upscale.
Cinderella. It's
Yes.
totally Cinderella. It's just beautiful decor Cinderella. But I will say, and I've been on now 9 Disney cruises, I've been on the Wonder and going on this, and I've been on the Fantasy. The Fantasy feels huge. They had 3 elevators. They have the aft, the midship, and the forward. This ship only has 2. Only has the aft and the forward. There's no midship, which now turns the ship into thirds. I truly believe it feels smaller than the Wonder.
Mhm. I
because
agree.
of that.
I agree.
It does feel small. It does.
It does. And then at dinner, because when you go on the Wonder, you go into these restaurants and it's just a sea of people. They redesigned it to where when you're going out to, it's time for dinner, you go in and you're in these pods to where it's a little restaurant and you're in these sections. So you're not surrounded by a whole bunch of people. It feels like a little restaurant. So, and your staff, the cast members who are your waiters, they can go behind the walls versus standing there in the middle of the restaurant where they're just there unloading their dishes. You feel like it's a very small ship. I don't know how they do it. It's bigger than the Fantasy, but it feels smaller than the Wonder. I don't know how they do it.
It feels very, very small, very intimate, which is
especially like in like the club areas and like the entertainment venues. They're very small because there's usually like enough seating room, and then when they they didn't really feel a whole lot of people into these things, because Mindy ended up finding out the first night that about 70% of the people that was joining us on this ship were first-time cruisers.
Right. I went to because I love watching the live shows, and couldn't find the guys. Our phones weren't working. We were just kind of chaos that first day. And I went to the, welcome aboard show, and the captain was like, welcome, and the cruise director, I guess this cruise director said it, but he goes, how many of you have been on more than 20? He kind of went down the line. He goes, and how many of you, the first people, stand up? More than half of the room in that theater stood up. That was their first cruise. Wow. So it just goes to show that a lot of people test the waters with the 3-day and 4-day cruises with Disney Cruise Line. For one, it's cheaper than the 7-day, obviously. And you're going on a brand new ship, and it's beautiful, and you can take your family and enjoy a cruise, but a lot of them are first-time cruisers.
Yeah. Well, and we were we first-time cruisers and a lot of normies, because we did the Walt Disney Trivia and we absolutely destroyed the normies.
We killed it.
That's we all got one.
We all got this. We they did like the trivia, the Walt Disney Trivia, and and it was like some of this stuff was deep cut. Like they were talking about Walt's siblings and all this stuff, and like the 4 of us were just freaking crushing.
Yeah, we were just looking around like these poor unfortunate souls.
We did, because they asked us what was this? I got the answers. I took it, but it was what was the first film that Walt Disney had made. A lot of people thought it was Steamboat Willie,
but it was Plane Crazy.
Yeah. Where's the Walt Disney Museum? What show came on the TV in 1954, and what did it premiere, which was Alice and the Christmas Special. It was what character did Walt have before Mickey Mouse, which is Oswald. Just a lot of these questions. He talked about Epcot being his first park. The one that stumped us, there was 20 questions. We talked about Marceline, Missouri, the Disneyland show, Jungle Book, and the one question we got, True Life Adventures. They said what character was named after Disney in the film. It was Yesnid. I got that one. Everyone's like, no, it's Yesnid.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was funny. So we're all sitting next to each other during this, and Chris is sitting next to me, and OG's like, Epcot!
Yeah.
And it's dead silent in here. I'm like, everybody get that answer?
Yeah, exactly.
And
then
you're welcome.
Our lady, the facilitator, was like, "Oh, you guys sound pretty confident." We're like, "Oh yeah,
We're like, oh, we
Yeah.
got this."
Yeah.
And the one question we missed, it was a true or false too. It was a 50-50. But we slam dunked it. There was 20 questions. We missed one, and it had to do with Walt. Did he design the airplanes for World War II? Not design them, but like draw on them. And did he personally finance that? And it was true. We put false. But we still won. We killed it. Everybody was looking at us like, how do they know these?
Yeah, it was like everyone had like their papers up, and then we slowly just started seeing them drop, and then all of a sudden, all eyes were just on us, like waiting to see, like, when are we ever going to put our paper down?
Nope, I know. She goes, when she got to 13, everybody's paper went down, and she's like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 20. We had to put it down. We killed it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was almost unfair because we like do this almost for like a living.
Right. It was like, sorry guys, we got an advantage here. But we went to the other ones and they were hard. There was 90s music. I feel like I was somewhat versed in music, and it was hard. And then there was 80s music and the Disney quotes. That was hard.
It was difficult. That was
hard.
It was Disney quotes from the films, and we were just like, what?
Well, and on top of that, and on top of that, they wanted the character plus the film.
Right. And then somebody actually got like all the questions. They got 40. Like everybody, like, what? You got all those answers? So we had to kill it at the Walt Disney trivia.
Yeah, we killed it on that one. We absolutely killed it. So now there were 3 restaurant experiences. The first night for us was the Frozen thing, which is awesome. They have the stage in the middle. They sing all the Frozen songs.
You look like you go into Arendelle. It's literally Arendelle. All the doors are like and then you got the clock. It's so cute.
Oh, it's adorable. Do you want to build a snowman? Those doors, with the little keyholes.
Doors. Yep.
So great. Great energy, they really get people going. The second night was 1923, which is basically like Carthay or 1901 out here in California.
Right.
That was awesome. George, I think you and Vash Sky, you like the lamb, right?
The lamb was the best. I kid you not. And I'm not a lamb eater by all means, Guy, let's go with that. Yeah,
you're not a
lamb eater.
Yeah, I don't eat lamb very often, but they had the flavor, the seasoning, the cook on it. It was the best sit down dish that I had on the cruise, and I gave some of it to Vash to see if he tasted what I tasted, and it was the best dish I felt out of the 3 restaurants that I have. So yes, I don't eat lamb for very often.
So funny.
Now I got the filet mignon and then the churros, which so it was really good. It was so good that the next night when we went to, what was the third restaurant?
Marvel.
That's right, Marvel. I was not too impressed with that one, but I looked at the menu and I don't like seafood, and there was things on there I'm like, I don't like any of this. So our amazing cast member waiter went back to 1923 and got me all of the food I had eaten the night before. He's like, boom, 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 boom. It was just so kind.
And that is the different level of service you get on a Disney cruise that you would not get on any other cruise line, nor actually I could say that you wouldn't get at the parks. I'm sorry. The parks are great, but the cruise line staff and service is like above and beyond.
Yes, because we had an issue in our room. We came in and it smelled like sewer. And I told these guys, I was like, okay, I'm gonna prove you a point. When you have an issue in your room, they knock on your door and they don't leave you alone in a good way. Are you okay? Just checking on you today. Is everything better? We just want to make sure the issue's taken care of. They took care of it. They put a a humidifier in there, like an air freshener thing that cleansed the air. It worked great. And they just kept coming back. Then the next night, they're like, we're so sorry. Here's a gift. Like, guys, it's great. You guys did a good job. It's above and beyond. It's like concierge level at the parks, 24/7 on the ship.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Every person you come in contact with on that ship is just, they're full of personality. They want to help you. They want to make the best experience. It's Disney different to the next level. It's awesome. The cruise line, this is my second one. It was just as amazing as the first one, and probably even better because Castaway Cay was like the cherry on the top. So,
okay, can we talk about the funniest night that we had though? Like the fireworks were great. It rained. They like did a good job cleaning it up for we could watch the fireworks. But that night, you guys. Oh, so remember, the ship is 70% newbies, so they may not know because you don't get a paper navigator anymore. You have to look on your phone as to what everything's going on. 12:30 a.m. dance party. Okay, they're gonna do a karaoke thing before, so let's go down and watch karaoke, guys. Okay.
Because all OG and I wanted to do, we just wanted to dance. Like we were talking, and it's like we want to live the night up. And Mindy's like, I'm gonna join too. Like let's go. Let's go
down. And we go there. I'm falling asleep, like trying to slap myself awake. I don't drink, guys. If I was drinking, I would be drunk this night because I was like, I'd wake up and be like, I'm awake. And this guy starts singing. And if you've ever seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I swear to you, this was the guy singing, die, I can't.
So in and out of consciousness while Mindy is like falling asleep, she's holding her drink, and OG and I are just watching her. Just like we look over, she's awake. Then we look over, she's sleeping. But in the midst, while this guy is singing this song, by the way, it was from Phantom. It was from Phantom of the Opera. But when Mindy literally wakes up out of her sleep, you can see that she's still like stone cold tired. She's holding this drink in her hand. She looks over at me and she says, "What is this? What we're listening to?"
I know. I was like, I go, what is this?
It was so bad.
I was just like, I don't know. I laid back down and I went to sleep.
And we're like enduring this because we think when this is over, there's gonna be like a club,
a dance
after
party. There's gonna be a lot of people there,
you know. And I thought, okay, we saw the two Filipino girls go up there and do the karaoke, and they were like they looked all clubbed out, like high heels, the whole nine. I'm like, okay, well these girls are definitely going to be clubbing, and it's going to be like, you know, there's going to be more people coming in and whatever. The minute the karaoke stopped, every single person left.
There was five people. I have the picture. I sent it to you guys. There's 5 people in this photo, but we were 3 of them.
So we're literally just sitting there to an empty room. No one in there, just the 5 of us.
Midnight dance party.
OG and I are sitting there like, is it started? Is this it? They were playing this god awful music that you couldn't even really dance to. And then there's Mindy still, she's zoned out.
She's like,
I'm like, honestly, she was the life of the party after that because it was like there was nobody there.
I was like, this is so ridiculous, you guys. We just need to go.
It was one of the funniest and best moments.
It was hilarious
on the cruise.
I will never forget it. It was the best night ever, you guys. We had so much fun.
But I do also have to add, now none of us got to experience the Aqua Mouse, unfortunately, the water attraction that's on the ship because it was down for maintenance. There was a part that needed to be replaced. They tried their best to get it attached as quickly as possible, but being that we were only on a 3-night, time ran out, and unfortunately we weren't able to experience that. But for the next time, you know, we'll be able to give our full opinion on that. And then the very last night, we all got to experience Aladdin. That I was so glad to actually see that show
That's
again
great.
because it was sort of like the Aladdin musical at DCA. And there were still
Right.
some differences to it, but I'm so glad that they try to keep the originality of it, that
Right.
we still had that show somewhere within Disney that we can experience.
Well, and for being on a ship, I was really impressed with the production value, the quality of it.
Right.
It was really good. I mean, that's a show that you can put at DCA or at a theme park, and it would be great, you know. And this is on a ship floating
It's
in the middle of the
Broadway
ocean.
style theater. It's Broadway style theater, and
Yeah.
they bring it. They know how to bring it, and it's so great. It's so great.
Oh, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, we had a great time. The food was great there. George, you were into the pizza.
I was
Every
never,
day.
I mean, every day, multiple times a day. I'm surprised I didn't gain 50 pounds just with the pizza alone. Cause
I tell you.
I mean, I had their pizza before, but I was never on a pizza kick like that.
it was
But what can I
great.
say? And I'm Italiano.
You love the
Italiano.
pizza.
And then the place next door had the tacos, and those were fantastic. I mean, the food just was great all around. Just
Now,
great
I know,
experience.
OG, you had a little bit of an issue with the Marceline Market of how the layout was, which I actually do agree with you after you had mentioned it, that it's all the same. It's very repetitive, and it's so big it wraps around that you get lost in it. You don't know exactly, because I tried finding you our first day.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm
Right.
at the entrance, and I'm like,
You're
I'm
like,
at
"Where?"
the entrance. Where is he? And I'm like, oh, I bet he's on the other side. And it's like, God, how long is this? It's like,
Yeah.
Well, it's like the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons that were really the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons that are really cheap, that they kept repeating the same background.
The
over and over.
background,
The
it just
background.
keeps going.
I'm walking, and everything, it's like the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, when does this thing end? You know? And it's really confusing, you know. But the food and everything is cool, but they need to mix it up a little bit so you can kind of gain a little sense of like where you're at.
Right.
It's just so big and it all looks the same that when you're up there, you just get lost. I mean, God forbid you're trying to find your family. It's like,
Yeah.
I
my
actually
God.
have to, I have to
kind of
say,
nailed it. With
Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
no,
I
no,
was
go
just
ahead.
say they nailed it. What they have in this ship, they have washing stations where you have to wash your hands before you go in, which
Yeah.
I think is 10 times better than handing you a stupid towel. And they scoop your food for you. So for one, we're at a buffet. Let's get real. Our eyes are bigger than our stomachs, and we'll just load on a plate. I understand, but it really does help with a lot of waste food, and you're not transmitting germs as much because they're just handing it to you. So I really do respect that part. And I
Yeah.
actually looked it up to see if they had changed it on the other ships as far as after COVID. No, they're still go serve yourself. So the Wish is the only ship where they serve you. I think it was interesting.
well, yeah, no, it was good. It was really good.
And I do love that feature, and I do kind of hope, and I didn't know how I was going to feel about it because I was so used to like the buffet style where we could just get our own
Right.
food, but
Yeah.
I actually I enjoyed that feature of actually just having it being served to you and what have you. So I kind of hope all the ships eventually adapt to that. With the Wish, I actually enjoyed the outdoor food, so to speak, the places outside by the pool.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
food there a little bit more than Marceline Market. I still
Oh,
enjoyed
yeah.
the food. Now Cabanas on the other ships, they knock it out of the park. I
Right?
love Cabanas.
Marceline really was repetitive. And I thought it was really cute that they had a kids section though, where it's lower.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they can go get their own food and choose. But if you're like, you want mac and cheese and French fries with chickens, you're like, can I have some of that, please?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
So-
wild. Now, speaking of the outdoor stuff, the Dole whips with the rum, those were fantastic. That was my first time ever having one of those before. They just-
Yeah.
Everything
At
about that.
Mrs. Frizz's. What is that? Mrs. Frizz's.
Yeah.
What are we? Where? Right over there. The restaurant is opening at 11:30. It's right over there. It's Mrs. Frizz's.
Like, what? What? We had no
We get
idea
over
what they
there,
We
were.
we're
had
like,
no idea.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
Wheezies,
Freezies.
freezies.
Oh, that was so funny. And we sat there. I think he said 10:30. I think at first. And
Yeah,
we're sitting
and
there
then
like
it
maybe
went-
it's waiting, and then it's 11:30, and it's like.
So
oh,
we go
dude.
upstairs and we're like, hey, let's just go to the adult area. We sit down, right? We're looking over it. That's another thing, guys. We look over at the Carnival ship. We're parked. We're docked at Nassau. And the ship over there, the Carnival, you get what you pay for. It was so dirty and grimy.
And you look at the people there, and they don't know what to do with themselves. They're just walking around like, I don't know what to do.
It was so dirty. The lawn, like the deck chairs, you could see the grime on them. Like, I wouldn't sit on those. I have a towel. But so we get up there and we're like, okay, Wheezy's Freezy's, it's right underneath us. We got to wait, hang out for like 20 minutes because it was 11:10. So we're sitting there. We sit down and we're just like, oh, this is the life. And all of a sudden we just get quiet. We're like, this is a nice view. And the next thing we know, we're out. We had all fallen asleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, wake up and we're like, oh, we all fell asleep. Okay, well, let's go get our Wheezy's Freezies.
And that's when they put those oversized, they're designed like chairs, but they're basically beds.
They're big round beds.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, you do that on a cruise ship, like that's some serious napping time there.
But that's what you do on a ship.
That's what you do on a cruise.
To relax.
That's what you do.
Go on a deck chair, sit and enjoy the view.
Now, another thing that I noticed differently, and Mindy, you also brought this to my attention as well. If you do a Disney cruise, we highly recommend to do a room with a veranda. You have to get a veranda with your room. It's the ultimate Disney Cruise Line zen to wake up in the morning, sit outside, and just look at the ocean. But the one thing that Mindy and I had noticed with the Wish is you can't look over and see like the whole ocean. You have like a panel that's blocking you, and you just have to look outward.
Whoever designed that missed the boat there, because the side of the ship goes like this. So the top is out, then it goes in, down, out. So all the veranda rooms are in the ship, and they're in about 4 to 5 feet. So when you look over the edge, you can't see down the side of the ship like, oh, there's your water. You see a deck. And it takes away the charm of being on a ship. I was like, wah, wah, wah. But all the rooms are like that. And on this ship, there is nowhere to walk completely around. There's no running deck like the other ships have. This does not do that. There's little sections you can go out, but you cannot go all the way around.
Yeah, and that was one of the things for the wonder that I loved is when you look over and you can just see the water, and doing that, we saw a lot of animals, like a lot of like seals and like dolphins and what have you. Yeah, but with this deck thing they put there, you're looking further away and it's harder to spot that stuff.
You can't see it. And the thing is, they turn the lights on in the water, and it's really, really pretty. So when you're sailing along and you do look over, the water is this light crystal blue because of the lights they shine into the water. And that's such an iconic thing to see while you're on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
And you look over, you can't see it. So the only time I ever got to see that is when I was by myself. I went out onto that little deck, which are under the raft boats. There's a little space you can walk. It's maybe 100 yards. It's not that big, but you look down and it's like, okay, there it is. You don't get to see that from your veranda. And that's kind of telling. But to upgrade to a veranda was only like $160, you guys. It was so worth it. And it added 150 more square feet to your room. Get the veranda.
Get the veranda. It's worth every single penny. Every single penny. So now I do want to say before we close it out, we met a lot of great people when we were out there. We mentioned Showcase. I want to give a huge shout out to Showcase, Alani, Wildness Ride, Doc, and also George and I and Mindy didn't meet John D, but Vash Guy did. And unfortunately, we were unable to meet John D, but we love John D. He was on the channel just the other day with me and Alia and Theme Park Wizard. But so John D, awesome. Shout out to him. So yeah, we met a lot of great people out there in Florida, had a really, really, really good time. And I wanted to send a little love to everybody that we got to meet down there. So it was a lot of fun. And I want to thank you both for coming on today and talking about our trip. And I'm sure we'll do more videos very soon about Walt Disney World. I mean, there's just so much to dive into,
Because you guys, we're doing it again. We've got it booked. We've got it. We've got the dates. We are going again. Round 2, here we come. So we're excited. We booked it before we got off the ship. I said, you guys, I'm just doing the placeholder. Let's go get it. So we found the ship. We found the dates. We're actually going to Lighthouse Point next time.
Yes.
So buckle up, guys. It's going to be amazing. So just wait for that one to come.
Yes. We are doing it all again. So thank you all for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on Walt Disney World, the Disney cruises, anything you want to talk about, comment down below. Mindy, I will start with you. If you could let everybody at home know, if you can remind them where they can find you on social media. And I will also link your stuff in the comments.
Absolutely. Yep. It's all under Sweet Miss Magical Mindy on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. You can find me there. Go watch my YouTube channel. Follow me for my 1950s living life as well as Disney. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. And over here we have Citrus George, Disney George. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, George.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Disney George. You could also find me on the podcast that Mindy and I are part of called A Walk with Walt. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And before we go, just really quick, I'm going to give Disney a plug. Actually, Mindy had sent this to me earlier, speaking of the Disney Cruise Line, that on Wednesday, August 30th at 11 a.m., they are giving a reveal of Disney's newest ship coming out, the Disney Treasure. So definitely check that out on the Disney Parks blog. Remember, August 30th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Comment down below. We would love to hear from you. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.